Welcome back to part 2 of our Youth Tell Me webinar. We hope you enjoyed part 1 of the session where we discussed what it means to graduate into a COVID-19 or post-COVID-19 job market. In this segment, we talk about building financial resilience despite the pandemic.
It's important to be prudent, important to also to plan wisely and segment a portion of your investments or portion of your salary to saving, so saving for a rainy day. And there's this concept that we're also going to share. It's called the RICH. Earlier we were talking about RICH.
You remember.
So what does RICH stand for? R stands for retire on your own terms. I stands for income for life. C stands for completely debt-free. And H stands for health emergency funds.
Yeah.
So this is what it means to be rich.
Yes, not exactly having lots of money, but these are some of the goals that you should think about achieving in your lifetime, especially with regards to income for life. Right? I think that's very important because we have to think, even though we're still, all of us here are still pretty young, we still have a long runway ahead to thinking about old age and retirement. But it's the fact that we have such a long runway that we should make full use of our time now, right? We should save early. And talking about income for life also, of course, I have to mention CPF, right? Being a foundation for you and being there for you at every major milestone in your life. It helps you save early for these financial milestones. So it could be purchasing your home, it could be paying for medical expenses. So it helps you save early for your years down the road, so you don't have to worry so much later.
That's right. And the earlier you do so, you can ride on the magic of compounding interest,
right?
Over a longer period of time.
That it will grow and grow.
What are your top 3 financial goals and plans, and has COVID affected these plans?
So my goal is to actually achieve up to 20k by the age of 21. However, due to this current pandemic, it's a bit unachievable.
Something that's very common among people my age, which would be to achieve the financial goal of having 100k by the end of 30.
I think you want to retire by the age of 50, so you can do whatever stuff you want.
Maybe more ambitious, maybe one day I want to be a billionaire or a millionaire in the future. Definitely, I think COVID has really impacted not only my plan but everyone else's plan. So in a way where we are unable to go out and easily find a job.
What does financial freedom look like to you, and do you think it is achievable in your lifetime?
Basically to support your own self and have food every day. So I think if I work hard and pursue my dreams, then I think I will be financially stable.
My definition of financial freedom is the ability to, of course, spend on my necessities so I can well afford them, and of course have more for the things that I want as well. One thing that's really important to me is being able to bless other people. So whether that's my family or my friends, being able to well afford buying gifts for them.
I'm able to spend on whatever I want and do whatever I want without thinking about the amount of money I have left in my bank account. So it will be things I could easily just go to any shop that I want and buy whatever I want, knowing that when I scan my debit card onto the scanner, right, it won't appear as card decline.
Not let my bank go negative. So I had negative $20 and I was so shocked. I thought the bank was gonna take my house. That was very scary for me,
At what age do you think is a good time to marry, buy a property, and how do you think COVID has affected these decisions?
There's really no such thing as the right time. Don't be pressured by a FOMO or anything like that.
30 plus, not so soon, which is 10 years from now. So I don't think COVID has really affected it.
Something my parents always told me was, find a job, then find a boyfriend. Because if you are stable and you can support yourself, then you can support your family. And when it comes to kids, 28, 29, just try not to go past 30 can already.
Starting a family probably will be based on personal preference, but for me, I think age 30 is a good number, right? Not too late, not too early. For property wise, I think as long as both parties are financially stable, I just BTO'd. So what made me go forward with it was actually location. I think COVID played a part as well because with the waiting time getting longer and longer right now. So I wanted to do it ASAP so to shorten the waiting period.
I would say that COVID has definitely slowed a lot of things down for not just myself, but for everybody. So I should think that everybody would want to start their families later now, because COVID does bring a lot of economic uncertainty. For most people, their priority will be getting a stable stream of income first.
Has COVID affected your spending and saving behavior?
When working
part-time, right, they would need to cut our hours due to lack of budget because we did not achieve sales due to COVID. It definitely has affected my savings. I also tend to think twice before I actually spend.
When the pandemic first started, I did like save a lot because like I was scared because like people were getting fired and like it scared me lah. Like it had me thinking about my future. Like, will I have enough money?
Wow, 100K by 30. I think that's what stood out to me.
Is it doable, you think?
I think definitely, if you're resourceful and if you plan properly, definitely it's an achievable goal.
Because I have a stable job, which
Income.
is I'm a nurse, right? So it's okay. The money's coming in. So, but the thing that I started a business, upcycling business that's on my own, which is I have to take some of my salary out to start this startup thing, and then it's called Thrift Store IM. And then I mean, whatever I earn from whatever like job you have, I feel like 50% you should save, whatever earning amount. Like it can be 2K per month, and then you save 1 month, 1K per month, and the rest of the 1K is like 20% of that amount of money you can take out from the bank, and the rest you still save it for emergency for like the 30% of the 50%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's what I do, and I so far like save a lot of money because of that, and it makes me like a every monthly thing for me. It's like people was like, why you every month must take out from the why not tap.
Yeah.
I say you tap, you feel good, but you forgot about the another thing, the manual part.
Rightly said, I feel like nowadays I go
Restrict yourself.
just like tap, pay, and
Yeah,
especially
it's
now
so easy, right? You don't see it.
can use your phone also to like pay,
Money fly away.
Exactly.
Right.
50, 30, 20 rule is something that actually I wrote about a while back on Sidley. Correct. But I do receive feedback from community that, for some people, just keeping 50% to expenses may not be, especially for a lower income one, it may not be feasible, correct.
Yeah.
They might be eating into, or even like
Correct.
school loans and stuff like that, which I
But
think maybe some of you can relate.
Is it adjustable? You think?
I think it's adjustable. Like I mean, like you
Yeah.
see, instead of buying books, you can go borrow books.
Correct.
Instead of like watching at cinema, you can go and watch like something like
Correct.
YouTube or like something like probably something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like the ramen and bak chor mee, right? You cannot
Yeah,
ramen and bak chor mee.
just like a choice to choose is a discipline,
Correct,
Just
correct.
adjust
commitment,
accordingly, lah.
Yeah.
and
right?
consistency,
and
especially.
move towards a target that you set. I think that will build up the kind of discipline that you need for personal finance.
I think for me, financial freedom to me is more about you know that you have your basic needs are being addressed by the finance, and you can do your passion like what Angie does. She has her business, sustainability. So without that fear.
Yep.
Gotcha.
But not into the state where they call a Henry, high earner, not really rich yet. So that's a good part where Angie and Ming Feng shared about. You need to have the mindset to also be prudent in your spending and save.
Okay, what is your most guilty purchase?
Okay, I always buy things online and like they always have sale. The one time I buy like this mask, you know the mask, the smiley face one? Yeah, it was so stupid. I thought it was funny, so I bought it. But then in the end, I couldn't even wear it because it's so embarrassing. But yeah, I bought it anyways, yeah.
I still shop, and that is kind of my hobby, I guess.
Wow. I don't know how guilty to go. I guess my most guilty purchase would be last year. I bought a Bottega clutch, right? Wanted to reward myself, so it was about 2K plus. When you buy it, it was a good feeling, but after a while when you think about it, like, hey, this money could have been used somewhere else.
So what do you do with your first paycheck?
I bought something. It was like a shoe that was actually quite expensive, and I did buy it so that I could sell it in future, and I got more from it.
When I got my first salary during my part-time job, I immediately spent it within a day.
Buy myself a new PC. So I'm a boy, guys love to build their own PC stuff. But I think what comes late is the second check, is to start saving. Yeah, I think the first check is okay to spend. Then the second check is start to build the habit of saving.
So what are some smart money moves you have made?
I think one of them would be I actually proportion the amount of money that I have at the start of every month. I'll make sure that, let's say, I only get to spend 20%. So I only leave this 20% in my spending card or bank account, and make sure that I strictly adhere to this.
Insurance is one of the important things. I will always review it every month, and maybe per month roughly about $50.
I really track down every expense that I made. So even for my big purchases, I remember that I would save up long term for it. So I was very sure that I could not just minimally afford it, but I could really well afford it.
Upon getting my paycheck, right, I will straight invest it. Like majority of it. Especially now we are at this age, like mid-20s, where you have a lot of time to let your investment compound.
So what do you wish you knew about personal finance before you started working?
It's always good to start early, no matter how early, whether you get your EduSave money and all that. But also, cooking at home is cheaper and healthier.
I wish I knew what the financial ratios I should set aside once I receive my salary.
The fact that it's actually not that complicated or like that complex. So I think a lot of people, I mean, it is, people say, okay, you have to do your research and you have to really find out more before you get into it, right? And I guess that puts a lot of people in hesitation because they wait too long. They're like, I don't know enough, so I'm not gonna get started yet. But the more you wait, the more you kind of lose. There are really very simple things that you can do.
If you start receiving any income or allowance right now, how long do you think you will survive?
Probably last me about 6 months.
A year and a half. At best 2.
I usually like spend all my money and yeah, I don't have any money to survive me.
Man, that's a very tough question. I would say no, tomorrow I die already.
Like we also need to exercise a bit of restraint also, you know, like sometimes we
Discipline,
get the,
right?
we get the money in, we feel very itchy to like spend. So it is good that like even what Angie said, she take and put aside. Like for me, I think some practical tips, I open up a second bank account, which is just purely for savings.
Yes, that's smart.
Yeah, so I take the money put so I don't touch, you know? Yeah.
Another point that we could bring up is also, you know, identifying your needs and your wants, identifying what are your short-term needs and your long-term needs, so that you know you can better plan on how to meet or achieve those goals. And as much as we plan, right, you know, life will throw at you curveballs. Yeah, so life really doesn't go our way. So definitely saving early will help you to better manage your money, to prepare yourselves to handle whatever life throws at you. And one way that the government helps you to save early is through CPF.
So I think all of you like shared really good points, right? Like portioning it out. I mean, you can even use a standing order to help you.
Standing order.
Yeah, so like the moment your salary comes in, it goes to another bank account. Automatically. So that's very powerful. For shopping online, you can just add it into your cart and then like leave it for 3 days to see before you check out. So you start thinking the third day you go back and you're like,
so you ask yourself like,
maybe I don't need this anymore. Yeah, correct. So I think when it comes to this also, I feel that yes, I think you are right. Actually, for I believe our generation, we are starting to see CPF as a very important tool. And there is generally positive consensus on the ground when it comes to it, at least in the community that at Sidley. So I think with that also, just some simple tips here and there. Monitor your expenses. By monitoring it, you will technically save 17% on average more than what you would on average. Also start cultivating those healthy personal finance habits, which I just mentioned just now. Yeah, ultimately have a lot of visibility on your expenses, your money, and lastly also to get yourself protected against any unpredictable circumstances. So insurance, all this can actually help you with that.
I actually have another Google sheet for this also. So like I put out like the buckets, right? Then list out all the like items like, okay, so this month give my parents how much, this month pay this, pay that, and then I log it all down. Then I see where the money is going. Then next is like I download like this I download like this expense tracker app.
Oh, that's
cool. So like every day, like after I take a ride on public transport, I just do like $3.62 that kind.
Wow.
Yeah,
really
after
keep track of this.
Then like I really know where my money go lah.
Have you heard of CPF, and what comes to your mind when you think of CPF?
Yeah, I think CPF, I don't think there's anyone who hasn't heard of CPF. There's a general view that like, you know, the money you have in CPF, right, it's not as easily accessible, it's not as liquid as perhaps if it's in your bank account. But I guess that comes with the fact that there's also high interest, right? So if you're able to take it whenever, I mean, you can't get best of both worlds.
Saving money for houses, also investments, and I think insurance. That is so.
The first thing that comes to mind about CPF is no money for now. But the second thing would be that it's a good saving. It's good savings for in the future, for future purposes, and it just prepares us for the future, just in case, you know, anything could happen, and we can always have additional income to actually touch on.
Have your thoughts about CPF changed after you started working?
It actually changed quite a bit because before I started working, I didn't know what CPF was, or I didn't know like how it would benefit me in any way. I found out that it was actually for me, like I get to use that money and it's a way of saving. It really like motivates me lah. Like I get money to spend and also money to save, which is, yeah, it's very good.
Definitely, when I first got my paycheck, I felt the pinch, you know, when it's deducted, right? And I'm like, you promised me this, but I get like so much lesser. But I think after understanding, then you realize that, you know, in the future it brings up a lot more. And you compare it to like your usual bank savings rates, right? The difference is drastic.
No, not as for now. Because of the minor impact that CPF actually has on me as a student, I have yet to actually see the impact that it creates on me.
Yeah, I think generally a lot of youth nowadays, they thought like, you know, they have this impression that CPF money you cannot take out.
Correct. And I think it's important to be aware of, you know, what CPF does for you to help you save, especially during this pandemic. And it gives you a good foundation in managing your money, gives you a financial head start in life by helping you to save very early on. So, you know, maybe our youth at home, they may not be aware of what CPF does for them. So they may not know where that 20% goes. So actually each month, you and your employer contribute to your CPF, which consists of 3 accounts: the ordinary account, special account, and the MediSave account. And you know, you contribute 20% from yourself and your employer contributes 17%. So that's like the magic number. You remember 20%, 17%. So you save 37%, right? That goes into your CPF. And as I mentioned earlier, your CPF savings help you to finance your major milestones in life, such as purchasing your home as well as your medical expenses.
Okay, I think maybe before we jump into this, let's set some context with regards to maybe retirement. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, according to the Lee Kuan Yew School of Policy, if you are single when you retire, you will need about $1,379 a month just for basic needs.
Okay.
If you're married, you will need about $2,351 as a couple. Moral of the story: get married. Okay. But then again, next, if you are female, you are going to like outlive your male counterparts by 5 years. So you are going to need a lot more of this, right? So I think having this context as a whole, start working backwards, understand like what can you use to really to help yourself with this journey, right? I mean, like when you use Robo, you probably did some research. But I think the something I noticed is that some of us, when we want to buy a car, we research a lot. We want to buy a house, we research so much. But when it comes to CPF, which is going to be something that will help you out in the later part of your year, they don't read up too much about it. So I think maybe start by having that habit, and you don't need to really treat CPF as a friend or whatever. Treat it as a tool that can really help you in future, and then just harness the maximum benefit of it. I've also seen some cases where they think that, oh man, maybe I'm just going to use my CPF for house, and when they reach the milestone to purchase the house, they feel like, hey, why not let the interest rate roll? And I just use cash first, you know, like, so this is the 1M65 movement that some of us might have. So I think like use it as a tool. Think of how you can maximize the benefit of it based on your current needs and wants. I think that's actually how I would recommend everyone to see it. And plus, around the world, let's just be upfront about this. CPF is actually one of the better pension fund or pension system that was recognized worldwide already. So lucky or not, we actually have an okay system in place. It's a tool that's made for every Singaporean. Use it.
Thank you for watching our Youth Tell Me webinar. We hope you learned a thing or two from our experts and youths. Before you go, do connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Telegram for bite-sized CPF info on the go, and give our Let's Talk CPF podcast a listen. Till next time, bye!